Hello YouTube, this is X. In Season 15, I climbed from Plat to Grandmaster in 3 weeks with a 60% win rate. I peaked rank 2 Zed NA, and I currently have the most Zed games in NA above D2. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the runes and the builds that gave me the most success. I'm not going to go into detail and explain everything, I'm just going to quickly go over the setups. But if you guys are interested in the reasoning behind them, I have a very detailed but very long guide which I'll link in the bio. But anyways, let's get started. The first setup I want to go over is the classic mid lane assassin. You're going to be going this setup into comps with multiple squishy targets that you'll find the most value in deleting them in the least amount of time. The sums you're going to be taking are Flash Ignites. There are 3 rune pages with this setup: Electrocute, Comet, and First Strike. Comet and First Strike are more niche, and I'll go over examples when to take them, but in most games you're going to be going Electrocute. So for Electrocute page, sudden impact most lanes, taste of blood into poke lanes. This tree, Grizzly Mementos every time. The other 2 runes are not very good on Zed. And for the last tree, Ultimate Hunter, because Zed is an ultra light champion, and it is hard to play without his ult up. For the secondary tree, you're going to be taking Transcendence and Scorch most lanes, except into 3 matchups: Galio, Kassadin, and Malzahar. Because Scorch does magic damage, Galio has a magic damage shield, Kassadin takes reduced magic damage, and Malzahar has his passive shield, which will block Scorch damage. So in those matchups, take Axiom Arcanist Transcendence instead. You could take Resolve Secondary into matchups that are very volatile and focus on all-ins. Examples would be Fizz, Silas, Irelia, Kiana, bruisers like Pantheon, Renekton, Garen, Riven, Tryndamere. You're going to be taking Bone Plating Demolish to mitigate their all-in. For the comment page, you're going to be going this page into mages who outrange you and can poke you in the wave. So examples would be Nico, Victor, Syndra, Oriana, Hui, Vex, and Xerath. You're going to be taking Axiom Arcanist in this tree. Nimbus Cloak is only good if you hit Conqueror, standard Transcendent Scorch. And in those lanes, you're going to get outranged and poked a lot, so I like to take Taste of Blood and Ultimate Hunter just because I said before that is a very ult-reliant champion. For the First Strike page, you're going to be going this page into lanes and comps that have low range, which will allow you to reliably proc your First Strike. You can't just consider the lane, you have to consider the enemy comp as well. If they have like a Teemo or a Shaco that will like have traps that will proc your First Strike, or like a Ashe that will outrange you and proc your First Strike before you even get any of your damage off, you're going to be playing without a keystone and you're going to be playing at a disadvantage. So you have to consider all the enemy champs. You're going to be taking magical footwear. Cashback takes too long to get going, especially in this heavy snowball fighting meta. Triple tonic is the best in this page. Cosmic Insight is the best in this page as well. Jack of all trades is too niche to actually make work, in my opinion. Standard secondary runes: Transcendent Scorch, Axiom Arcanist. In the Galio, Kassadin, Malzahar matchup, like I mentioned before. And you could also take Bone Plating, Demolish, Resolve Secondary with the First Strike setup as well. For the mid lane Assassin build, you're going to be starting Longsword Refillable and D-Shield into lanes with Heavy Poke. For the boots, you're going to be going Symbiotic Souls. And a lot of people will be asking why. Why not just go Lucidity? Well, they changed a lot with this season, right? They have feats of strength that require you to get first blood, fight, be more aggressive, have more snowballing in the game. So TP is out of the meta. I don't really take TP that often nowadays unless I really need to. And plus they nerf TP. TP takes very long to travel. It's not a summer spawn to 10 minutes, so I take Ignite every game. I need these boots to help me manage my side lanes and to back and come back quicker and abuse the home guard, right? Plus, you don't really need the ability haste from Lucidity boots because you're going Assassin's Zed, you're trying to one-shot someone, or as if you took Conqueror with TP or something, you need the ability haste, you need to get TP up more often, and you can just manage your side lanes with TP, right? But if you take Ignite, it's kind of harder, you kind of need these boots. They're really broken and they're really good. You just have to know when and like how to use them, right? If you're into very heavy poke lane and you have like the right amount of gold, you could just buy these boots. You could just, let's say you're up against a Victor who pokes you down, like to have HP. You could just sacrifice your HP to push the lane and back with your Baron buff. Abuse the home guard, come back to lane. You're missing like one minion, not even. Just this season with home guard is really abusable with these boots. So build it first if you're into those very heavy poke lanes or you're struggling into those lanes. But if not, build your first damage item first, and then build Symbiotic Soul second. These are going to be all your core items, but you're going to build them differently or like build them in a different order depending on the enemy comp. So for a ranged character with CC that you need to dodge their like abilities like Ari, Annie Vex, Voltaic, Edge of Night is your best bet. This is a very good setup because you can just slow them and block their CC and just kill them very easily in the side lane. But for ranged matchups or comps that you don't need the Edge of Night shield to block CC, like if you're up against like an ADC mid or like a mage that doesn't really have a specific ability you need to block like Victor, you're going to be rushing Hubris into Voltaic and then your other items. Maybe Edge Knight if you need it later, like if you're up against a CC support or something. But I know people are skeptical about Hubris and say it's a bad item, but it's not. Hubris is an actual good item, but you just need to learn the situations when to build it. Because, like, look at the stats. You're getting 5 more AD off Hubris, plus you're getting even more AD the more kills you get. So it's not a bad item. You just have to know when to build it. The build path for Hubris is really good. It's made out of Dirk and Caulfield, which are like made out of longswords, and it's just a benefit to rushing it besides will take, because will take you have to wait for your pickaxe or brutalizer. And into those melee matchups where you need Eclipse to survive and trade in, like Akali, Diana, Silas, Fizz, Galio, Irelia, Malphite, Yasuo, Yone, you're going to be going Eclipse first into Voltaic. If you need Edge of Night to block a spell, you could build it sooner. But after these like core start items, you're gonna build your armor pen, Cyrilda standard, what a reminder into like very, very heavy healing, like Vladimir plus Raka, maybe Aatrox in there. It's decent because it got buffed a few patches ago. You can actually take it. And just Black Cleaver, if your team's like full AD, you could benefit from it. I don't want to exclude it from this because it's viable. Except if you're going first strike, because you need to prioritize burst if you're going first strike, and Black Cleaver gives less burst than Mortal Reminder and Thrill does. So if you're going first strike, do not build Black Cleaver. You could also build Yomu's after your core items if you win the Feats of Strength for your boots, because it gives so much movement speed, and I find that it synergizes so well, Yomu's and these boots. But only build Yomu's if you get the upgrade. If you don't, just don't bother. So for the situational items that you're going to build later in the game and in your build, Serpents, you're going to build if the enemy team has 2 or more very big major shield threats. We're talking about an Ivern, a Karma, if the enemy mage has a Seraphs, or the enemy Lee Sin Jarvan builds Sterax. 2 or more is my rule of thumb for Serpent's Fang. You could build this earlier if you need it earlier, but it's just there. And Profane and Axiom, they fill the same niche where they're just like lethality item slots after your core items that you're just gonna build because you need something to take up the space up. And you're gonna go profane when the game is more in a neutral state and you're not very ahead, you're not fed, or if you're even behind, so you could wave clear and get more gold to get back in the game, right? But if you're ahead and snowballing, Axiom is better because you're just gonna get more kills, more ulti resets. So take that into mind when considering between these two. Mon's very heavy AP comps, and Death Stance into very heavy AD comps, but I don't really like going Death Stance because it's too expensive and doesn't really synergize with Zed's kit that much, and there's not many full AD comps nowadays. For your sixth item, if your team won the feats of strength and you got the boots, you're gonna keep them and just buy a red pot. If your team did it and you lost, you're gonna sell your boots and buy Yomas. The second setup I'm gonna show you guys is the Conqueror Bruiser mid lane Zed build. You're gonna be going this when the enemy comp's priority targets are going to be a little more tankier or bruisery, like a Riven, Viego, or your mid lane matchup is very like brawly, like a Yasuo as well. Conqueror is better than Electrocute in these cases, but you just have to assess the enemy comp and see which targets you have to kill and if burst or more sustained damage is better. The spells that you're going to be taking with this setup is going to be generally Flash Ignite, because I mentioned before, this meta is very snowbally and has a lot of fighting, especially because of the Feast of Strength and the roses. The team that will have more map control will have more access to all the roses. So yeah, you could take TP with this setup, but I'd only recommend it if your team doesn't have another TP, right? If your top laner takes Ignite, you're gonna want to take TP maybe. If you can side into the enemy comp, right? Consider that if they have like a Malphite or a Nasus, you're probably not going to want to side against them because they're just going to wave clear and out base damage you, outduel you. So consider that as well. But my philosophy is that every team needs at least one TP to manage side lanes after laning. If you still want ignites and you're in a lane that you can solo kill someone and you still need like ignite for it though, like a Silas or Vladimir, you can take ignite TP. It is still a viable strategy. For runes, you're going to be going Presence of Mind over Triumph because you want more energy to rotate through your spells more and get more Conqueror stacks. Legend Haste is the best out of these three runes. You're going to go Last Stand in lanes that either you're going to be fighting a lot and going to low health is unavoidable, like Yasuo, Galio, Irelia, or in lanes that you're going to be poked down a lot, so you're going to be low HP, like Victor or Orianna. But in lanes that you outrange people or you could play very well around their spells so that you won't be low HP, like a TF, Veigar, Acel, cut down is better. But in most cases, Last Stand. For a secondary tree, you're going to be going Transcendence for the ability haste and Nimbus Cloak instead of Scorch because you're going Ignite possibly with Conqueror, right? Nimbus Cloak is going to help you with that kill pressure, get more autos in, get solo kills. It's just the best with this setup at least. You can also go Resolve Secondary, Demolish Bone Plating like mentioned before, into those very bursty lanes like Silas Fizz. Okay, so for the Conqueror Bruiser build, you're going to be starting Longsword Refill and D-Shield into poke lanes. I know some people like taking D-Blade into like melee matchups, or if you take Conqueror, I just think it's way too flip, and you don't really need too much health with Zed. Because if you don't solo kill or get like Hello Prio off your buy, then you're delaying your Eclipse spike by a lot. The boots are going to be Lucidity 90% of the time, It's because you need the ability haste for Conqueror, and there's a chance that you will take TP. So if you take TP, Lucidity synergizes better. If you don't take TP, Symbiotic Souls will be better. But the ability haste is especially good with Conqueror because you need to stack your Conqueror and cast more abilities. The other games, like 10%, probably Mercury Treads or Plated Steel Caps, but they're pretty situational. Okay, this build is a lot more straightforward than the Assassin build. First item is going to be Eclipse, always. Second item, Lucidity Boots. Every game, pretty much. Then you're going to build Shojin into Cleaver slash Sorreldos. If the enemy team is stacking armor sooner, then you could swap these two. You're going to build your armor pen second and then Shojin third. You build Cleaver if your team is full AD and you want to benefit from the armor shred. It gives you health, so if they have burst, then you're tankier. Also, it's good into armor scaling champions like Ornn, Malphite, Cassante, and Rammus. Solidus is better if you're ahead and you want to one-shot people, or if someone else on your team already has a Black Cleaver, because you don't want to stack them. You want to abuse the armor shred on top of the armor pen. As for the later situational items, as you know, if they have a CC ability you need to dodge, like Ari Charm or Kiana ults, Serpents for shields, Camp Hug for healing. I would go Sterak's if they have a ton of CC on their team and you don't think Edge can save you from it. So if they only have like one CC threat, Edge and Knight's really good. But if they have like Lissandra, Pantheon, Leona, where you feel like your shield's gonna get procced and you're gonna be dead, you want the tenacity and survivability from Sterak's. Best that's into heavy AD teams, while it's AP. And if you feel like you're in a game where you don't need any of these situational items, you go Thundered Sky and Axiom for damage. These two are the damage items if you don't need these other situational items. Thunder Sky first, then Axiom. As for the sixth item, if your team won the Feast of Strength and you have access to tier 3 boots, you're just going to keep them by Red Pot. If your team didn't and you still have the tier 2 boots, sell your boots for the other situational damage item that you didn't build. So it could be Shojin, Axiom. If you did build them, then sell the boots for Yomu's. I know you guys are wondering, like, why are you not selling your boots for Yomu's right away? But I feel like if you're 6 items late game, Zed with Conqueror, you just want to buy more ability haste. You don't really care about movement speed too much. Just go full ability haste, play around your W, kill everyone. You don't need movement speed if you're just gonna go full ability haste because your W is gonna be up perma. But you could also not build Yomu's if they have really heavy AD comp. You could sell boots for GA. If they have a heavy AB comp, you could sell them for Force of Nature. The next setup I want to show you guys is the scaling first strike setup. The spells you're going to be taking with this is Flash TP, and you're going to go this into, again, situational comps that are low range that'll let you reliably proc your first strike and that you feel like you could scale into, right? If you're up against like a Cassante gear in mid, you want to scale first strike off them so you could like get enough damage and just one shot all the squishes on the enemy team. So you're going to be going cashback because you want the max amount of gold, and if you're playing to scale, then you want to play for a long game. Triple Tonic, I already talked about before, and Cosmic Insight, these are just the best roots in their tree. And you're going to go Absolute Focus Gathering Storm for the most scaling possible. Absolute Focus scales harder than Transcendence because Transcendence stops scaling at level 11, where Absolute Focus keeps gaining value even until level 18. So for the build, for scaling Zed, you're gonna start longsword refill every game. You're not gonna go D shield because if you're going first strike, you're not gonna be going into a poke lane because they're gonna proc it. So always go very greedy, longsword refill. You have TP anyways, so in case you play your lane bad, you could still TP back. First item will be Hubris to scale again. The maximum scaling, you'll get a lot of 80 from Hubris late game. Build Lucidity with second, because you have TP, they synergize well. Then you're going to go Profane second to clear waves, deal big AoE damage for your first strike. Just accumulate gold, just become an insane late game damage machine. And third item, I would definitely go Armor Pen. This is the holy trifecta of scaling Zed. You need Hubris, Profane, it's Armor Pen. They buffed Lord Doms recently, so it has 40% Armor Pen. If they have a lot of armor on their team, I'll consider going at over Sorodas. For the later and situational items, again, Edge of Knight if they have CC, Serpent's Fang if they have shields, and if they don't have either, you're going to build Axiom Arc and Sundered Sky for your damage items. As for the sixth item, again, your team won the tier 3 boots, keep them, buy Elixir of Wrath. If they didn't, sell the old boots here, then sell them for illness. The last setup I'm going to show you guys is the Conqueror jungle setup. I believe the way that Zed jungle should be played is that you abuse his fast clear speed and his fast objective speed. So you're not going to be ganking too often. That's why I think Conqueror is a lot better than Electrocute or anything in the domination tree for that sense in jungle. I take these runes 99% of jungle games I play for Zed. You're just going to take Smite and Flash. I don't think Ignite is needed. You're not super mobile like Talon or Kane. You can't get away with Ignite. You kind of need Flash in case people invade you or to finish off kills on ganks. So for the first tree, you're going to take Triumph. You're not interacting with champs too often, so if you get a kill, you're going to get plus 20 gold and health back. I feel like this is the most value because you're going to be farming most of the game. Alacrity is better than Haste because you're going to be autoing camps a lot. Trust me, it's better than Haste. You need to clear. You need to take objectives as that jungle. That's your role. And I take Ku here because you're going to be ganking only low health targets. You want to make your ganks high value, high success rate. So don't gank full HP bot lanes that have all four sums up. Gank like a 1/3 HP top laner or a mid laner. And Ku will help you get that extra damage to secure the kill. Because you don't really have burst with the setup, you're taking Conqueror. The other runes just aren't as good in jungle in my opinion. And standard magical footwear, cosmic insight. This is like standard jungle runes. Make sure to take attack speed shard. I am testing with other secondary runes. Like I feel like transcendence and water walking could be good as well, but I've only tested with magical footwear and cosmic insight. I just feel like this is very consistent. For the Conqueror jungle build, you're going to be starting blue pets because you're going to be power farming, and this will help you move around faster and impact the map and clear faster, get more gold, get to ganks faster. Red pet and green pet are troll for that jungle. Do not go them. Boots will be lucidity for the reduced smite cooldown, and you're going to build it after your first item. The first item is going to be hubris, and I know it seems troll, it seems weird, but you're going to be looking to farm most of the time, and you're not looking to gank or interact with champs that often. So you just want to go hubris scaling. You don't need the slow from Voltaic. You're just going to be hitting jungle camps most of the time. You don't need to like get Eclipse. Eclipse gives you a shield. You don't need a shield for a gank, right? You want hubris. You want more damage and more scaling, so you could 1v1 the enemy jungler if you get ahead, right? And plus, after you get a successful gank off, you get bonus AD, and that will help you even more with your clear. That will help you clear faster. So synergizes really well with that jungle. Second item is going to be Axiom. You need more ability haste to clear faster, and you need more ults to get more ganks off, right? You're not a mid laner. You don't need Voltaic and Edge of Knights. You're not going to be interacting with champs that often. But you just need raw damage, and you need your ults up more for ganks. And your third item is going to be your armor pen item, which I already explained. You just build them according to how the game is going and what the enemy comp is like, right? Depending between Grudge and Cleaver. As for the later situational items, again, Edge of Night CC, Serpents for shield, Chempunk for healing. They don't have these, just go Shojin and Sundered Sky for maximum damage. These are just purely damage items. And sixth item, again, I've said it a million times. Your team with the tier 3 boots, keep them by Red Pot. If not, side of tier 2 boots and buy Yomas. So this is the end of the guide. If you guys are still here, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video. If this was helpful for you, which I hope it was, make sure to like and subscribe as more content is going to be on the way. If you guys have any questions or any video ideas or recommendations, make sure to leave them in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.